What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Lions' latest. I tried to change the intro. You guys see what I did there? I didn't say to another video. I said to the Lions' latest, so it kind of sounded weird. So if you're like, whoa, what happened there? I thought it sounded, you guys. Today, we have some of the Detroit Lions' latest news, latest rumors, and latest reports. Woo, I like that. Plus, sometimes I ask questions. Okay, hold up. That sounds weird. Let's get it started.
I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, guys don't know, DoseOfDion, he put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome, everybody, to the video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, we have some Detroit Lions news that we need to catch up on. I know it hasn't been as busy as it was about a week ago with free agency, where the Lions are signing guys here and there, and they're cutting guys here and there, and trades are going on. But there is still some little news trickling out. And by the way, guys, we should be very, very happy that there is this kind of downtime. I'm going to be honest with you, because the draft is happening April 29th, which is only about a month away. Okay, so the draft is coming up. This is a great time for us to really learn about the roster. That's why I did the Jalen Reeves Maven video today. Also, learn about draft targets. That way, when we're about a couple weeks away from the draft, we're ready to go. We're ready to hit the ground rolling. We're doing mock drafts, and we're having a lot of fun with it. We all know who we're talking about, and it should just be a really good time. The draft is the best. Oh my gosh, I love the draft. Aside from this season, the draft is the best time of year for the NFL. It's just facts. That's just how it is. The draft is amazing, and that's coming up soon. So this is kind of a nice little downtime, because trust me, this will heat right back up. But we still do have some Lions news that we got to talk about. Plus, I did say sometimes I ask questions, so I have a question for you. What is your favorite candy? Let me know in the comment section below. Cotton candy. I don't really eat candy. I'm not gonna I'm not trying to say, oh, I don't eat bad. Like, okay, but I don't really eat candy. Really, if I had to pick, I really like Reese's. Oh my gosh. But honestly, like a Twix, oh, hold up. But I can get sick off of those. So sometimes it's got to be like, all right, hey, you know what I mean? Just give me a Tootsie Pop. Everybody overlooks the Tootsie Pop. 1, 2, 3. You know what's very overlooked, aside from the Tootsie Pop, is the Blow Pop. Hold up. Okay, that's like the best taste in the world when it's got a little bite of sucker on it and you bite. Okay, sorry. So we have some Detroit Lions news. Let's just get it started. So the first thing, this actually goes towards the entire NFL, but also to our Detroit Lions. And it's something that we discussed last season at the end of the year. Some people were confused about by the news and all the speculation that the Detroit Lions were going to have a 17th game. We're like, what's really going on here? News that we were trying to figure out last season, it goes to this year. So the NFL has announced there will be 17 games this season for every NFL team, which is awesome, because even if you're bad, it's kind of like you got a wild card game. It's like, hey, guess what? This is our wild card week. Now, it's not, but you could act like it is, or it keeps you in the playoff hunt a little bit longer. You know what I'm saying? And us Lions fans, we love the playoff hunt. I love the playoff hunt. I love doing the mathematically. How can we still get in? That stuff is great. So 17 weeks, I should say 18 weeks, extra week of football. No one's complaining about that. Now, who is our matchup? It's going to be the Denver Broncos. So that's where the confusion comes into play. We were thinking about it last year. The Denver Broncos will be the Lions' week 18 matchup, the last game of the season, or their 17th game of the season. Now, their opponents have been set for this season, and those opponents include the AFC North and also the NFC West. So the NFC West has like the LA Rams, the Arizona Cardinals, Seattle Seahawks, San Francisco 49ers. Very good division over there, no question about it, especially when that division is healthy. And we have another tough one with the AFC North. That includes the Cleveland Browns, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, the Cincinnati Bengals, who could be on the come up getting Joe Burrow healthy. So it's a tough divisions to go against, and of course our division, where you play the Packers twice, the Vikings twice, the Bears twice. But I know some people are getting worried about those opponents, but keep in mind, our entire division has to play that same division and those same divisions as well. The Bears, the Vikings, the Packers, they all got to play those teams as well. The only difference is that we'll get those two extra teams, aside from the Denver Broncos. We get to play the teams that were worse in their division, because we were worse in our division last season. So there we go. So technically, our schedule could be a little bit easier, unless those teams are better, but you never know. Either way, it's a tough schedule, sure, but it's the NFL. I feel like every game is tough. Plus, if we're being honest here, every NFC North team has to play, many of the same teams. So it kind of is what it is. If you're good, you're good. That's kind of how I look at it. So yeah, very excited for next season. No extra game. That is amazing. You love to have some extra football. I mean, who doesn't? Come on, man. All right, now let's get into some more Lions news here. Danny Shelton, the former nose tackle for Detroit, the 27-year-old, has signed with the New York Giants. I just want to give a quick little clap, quick little acknowledgement to Danny Shelton, who has signed with the Giants. I'm very happy for you, Danny Shelton. I knew you were going to get signed somewhere. I mean, I had no doubts someone was picking up my boy Shelton. Someone had to pick up Danny. disappointing. You're only 27 years old. You still got a lot to offer as a nose tackle. You're still pretty talented. I mean, look, I could have seen the Lions keeping you this year depending on what scheme they go to. But for them, they get to save about $4 million. For us, I mean, I can understand why we moved on from you. And I'm not exactly sure what scheme we're going to, but especially if you don't need the same kind of two-gapping nose tackle, then it makes sense. But for some team, you have some value, but there are teams that need it. And apparently the Giants did, and they signed you. So congratulations, Danny Shelton. Now, what I think is interesting about this is you guys remember we brought in Damon Stacks-Harrison, who was also a nose tackle when we did that trade, and he came in and he balled out, but the next season was pretty bad. Anyways, let's not talk about that. Well, he signed with the Giants, so it's kind of weird how that kind of just works itself around. But congratulations, Danny Shelton. Well-deserved. Go do your thing with the Giants. And finally, we have one more thing to talk about, and this is that the Lions will be bringing in cornerback Quinton Dunbar for a workout, or I should say visit, this week. Okay, so Quinton Dunbar is coming in this week, and Brad Holmes told us during the press conference this week that they will not be overlooking the cornerback position. They can still add pieces towards that, and that's kind of what's going on here with the visit. So clearly they're not overlooking that spot. The Lions have brought in K'Wan Williams for a visit as well, but he ultimately re-signed with the San Francisco 49ers, and then we know Demonte Casey, who was the safety, he actually signed with the Dallas Cowboys. Ugh, Dallas. Anyways, we are bringing in another cornerback for a workout, which is nice. So clearly the Lions are taking some interest in filling out that position, knowing that right now we only have 3 cornerbacks on the roster, which is Jeff Okudah, Amani Oruwariye, and Michael Ford. So it's never a bad thing to add more depth to that. Now, let's talk about Quinton Dunbar a little bit. Really dive too far into the film. I did take a quick little sneak peek just so I know what I'm talking about. And if we do sign him, of course, we'll break it down. But just so I got a nice little background to give you guys. So Quinton Dunbar is a 28-year-old cornerback that's 6'2", 202 pounds, coming from the Seattle Seahawks. Now, he's also going to be visiting the Arizona Cardinals this week as well. So there's another team that's clearly interested. Plus, Seattle said after the year that they would be interested in re-signing back Quinton Dunbar. So we'll see where he ends up going. But the price doesn't seem like to be super expensive unless other teams start pushing each other's prices up. But I still don't think it's going to get that expensive because last season was not his best season. Now, what's interesting about Dunbar is he was a receiver in college for Florida, but he ultimately transitioned to the cornerback position. And he doesn't have that much tread, I should say. I mean, he really doesn't have much wear and tear. Unfortunately, he does have the tear, though. You know, he doesn't have a lot of wear, but he does have the tear. He's had to deal with some injuries in the past. Actually, to say multiple injuries. But the Lions have not shied away from signing guys with injuries, so it's still possible. So let's talk about him. Quick little background on Quinton Dunbar. He was brought in 2015, brought into the Washington football team, and recently he was traded to the Seattle Seahawks for a 5th-round pick. So they bring him in last season to play that outside cornerback position. So he's an outside corner. Clearly, he has some really good size there, some really nice length, and he fit the scheme really well because Quinton Dunbar was not only a man press type of corner that can do that, which is what I think the Lions are going to do a lot next season, which is why this could be a scheme fit. But also, he played really well in a cover 3 defense, which is a lot of times a single high safety. And in that case, I see the Lions doing that a lot next season as well. Man defense, single high safety. And guess what? You guys want a fun fact? Being out there as a cornerback with a single high safety, his PFF grade before this past season was 77.4, which was 10 points higher than their other outside corner, Shaquille Griffin. So when they brought him in, they were bringing him in because he could play the cover 3, which the Lions will probably run because they will run some single high safety, and because he could play man-to-man heavy defense. Since he can do both, it just made sense for Seattle. But unfortunately, last season was not a season to remember. It just got off to a terrible start right away. So they bring him in. He gets basically arrested, and those charges were ultimately dropped. Then apparently he enters training camp out of shape. But he still starts. He still starts at the outside corner for Seattle. And he's not playing bad, but injuries were an issue. And it actually started against the Patriots, I believe, where he had a little bit of a knee injury. And it's something that he kind of dealt with. Ultimately, he was placed on IR, and he only played in 6 games last season. So clearly they didn't play that many games last season. And that was it. Statistically, last season, Dunbar in 6 games, he allowed a 64.8% completion percentage, which isn't that bad. Again, this was last year with Seattle. 111 passer rating, which is kind of rough. 4 touchdowns and 14 yards per completion. He did, however, tackle pretty well. He's always been a pretty solid tackler. He had 30 tackles on only 4 missed tackles. He's always been a pretty good tackler, and a lot of that has to do with his size, his willingness. 2020, he did have 1 interception, which is nice. But then you look at 2019. Let's go back a little bit before last season when he was with the Washington football team. In 11 games, where he started all 11 games for Washington, he allowed 60% completion percentage, only 360 yards. That's it. On 33 completions, only 360 yards, which equals out to just under 11 yards per completion, but a 61.2 passer rating. He did allow 2 touchdowns, but he had 4 interceptions. 4 interceptions. Tremendous year. Phenomenal. If you look at PFF, you like PFF, they loved him. They gave him an 87.6 overall, which is elite. They gave him a 72.5 against the run. That's good to great. They gave him a 58.6 as a pass rusher, but I'm not too worried about that one. An 89.5 in coverage, which is elite. Yeah, 7 combined interceptions in the last 3 seasons. 2018 and 2019 combined, which would be 18 games. He had 17 pass deflections. 17! And like I said, PFF gave him incredible grades, which was actually in 2019 only behind Richard Sherman, the second best corner in the league. 89.5. Some tremendous stats. And that's why Seattle brought him in. But injuries have always been a factor. Go back to 2018. He only played in 7 games where he started in 6. Dealt with, guess what? Shin injuries in 2018. And in 2018, in the 7 games that he played, 6 games that he started, he allowed a 66% completion percentage, a 100.2 pass rating. He allowed 11.8 yards per completion, 4 touchdowns, but he did have 2 interceptions. So not a bad season, but he's always been a pretty good tackler. Now, he would give us size on the outside, which we already have with Amani and Okuda. So you would be continuing to get guys that are long, good size on the outside that are very willing to tackle, which is nice. But you're also getting competition. Now, what I think intrigues the Lions about this is obviously the injuries aren't intriguing, but because the injuries are there, his price should be pushed way down. That's what's really holding him down. He came off a rough season. A lot of that had to do with injuries. But a rough season, and he's got this injured past. Like I said, the Lions have not shied away from signing a guy because they've had injuries in the past. This opportunity could be for both sides here. This opportunity could be one for the Detroit Lions to get him for a relatively cheap deal. A guy that not just has potential because I have good skills. No, because he's literally shown you that he can be a shutdown corner in this league. One of the best cover 3 corners up until last season in this league. He showed you that he could be a great cover corner. I think one of my favorite parts, maybe my favorite part, is of course, he's been talented, but the fact that a big reason Seattle brought him in is because when they brought him in, he could play slot corner. He could play that nickel position, which he did a little bit with Washington. So they needed a replacement for Justin Coleman, which we do now. Isn't that kind of funny how that works out? So he can do that too. So there's versatility there, and the Lions, well, they could use help at both. But when you look at the Quinton Dunbar side of things, he's coming off of injuries. So what it gives Quinton Dunbar an opportunity to do is the same thing that Dan Campbell touched on. This gives these guys a 1-year deal that everybody knows where the salary cap is at. We all understand that, hey, the salary cap is low. So everybody's trying to cash in next season or the season after that when free agency hits. So this is an opportunity for these guys to come in, work their butts off, prove themselves, earn a role. It allows the Lions to have a good player on a cheap deal. And once they earn that role and play well, then when the free agency market hits next season, now they can go cash in. So it's an opportunity for both sides. Is there risk here? Yes, there is risk. And that's why it's only a 1-year deal for the Lions. If I was Lions, there's no way I'd give this guy a 3-year deal. Now with all these injuries, now with his age, no way I'd do it. The arrested, showing up out of shape, none of that. But for a guy that's coming off this bad season, that's coming off an injury, that's looking at potentially not getting paid that much this offseason, you know that he wants to drive that back up. He wants to push that price like crazy, knowing the salary cap's going to jump. Just like Terrell Williams, just like Rashad Perriman, same thing is going on here. He could say to himself, hey, I got an opportunity with young corners to take the role because guess what? It's going to be competition. Like Lions said, they want 1-year deals for competition. And then I get playing time. And if I play well, I could get a big deal. I could cash in next season. This is your opportunity. Now, while he is, 28 years old, looking for that big payday. And he has an opportunity to potentially get that big payday if he could have a really nice season with the Lions and a nice bounce back season and find a way to stay on the field. That's part of it. Teams look at that. They want availability. So he's going to fight. He'll fight to stay on the field. So if the Lions did sign him, is there concern here? Yes. But like a lot of their deals, there's always there's high risk, high reward with a lot of our signings so far. But it's really not high risk either because guess what? Okay, if he's injured and he doesn't play a lot, that stinks. But it's only a 1-year deal. You're not locked into it because I'm assuming Lions would give him a short-term deal. And it wouldn't be that expensive. But for him, it's also an opportunity to ball out. And if he does ball out, it gives the Lions a really nice player for a 1-year deal. So that could be why Lions are interested in Dunbar. They need depth. And if they sign him, that's probably why. So we'll go into some, film and stuff like that if the Lions actually do sign him. But keep an eye on that name. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. And by the way, with the 17-game schedule, we were the first team to go 0-16, right? So I think it's only right that we're the first team to go not 0-17, 17-0. What you think? Let me know. Thank you, Prime, for watching, and I'm out.